This is the additional topic over midpoint formula. So let's talk about the formula here. So we're given 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2. Be sure to label those. And then you take the average between them. Add the two x's together, divide by 2. Add the two y's together and divide by 2. Your answer will be the midpoint. So let's look at the example 1. We have 5, -3, and 4, 6. So first we want to label x1, y1, x2, y2, and then plug it into the formula. You have 5 plus 4 over 2, and -3 plus 6 over 2. So if you put these into the calculator or you just solve them by hand, you should get 9 halves and 3 halves. That's your midpoint. You could also change this into a decimal. You could put 4.5, comma, 1.5. Either way is okay. Example 2 is already done for you. We have -3, 3, and 5, 3. Add each of those coordinates together, divide by 2. You should get this. Let's look at example 3. This one, it does not have the coordinates labeled, so let's label them. We have -3, -3, and b is 1, 4. So let's plug those in. 1 minus 3 over 2, and 4 minus 3 over 2. So we have -2 over 2 and 1 over 2. So our midpoint right here, this point right here, is -1, 1/2. That is our midpoint. Turn over to the back. Let's do a couple of these together. Find the midpoint of each line segment. Let's do number 1 together. First, we need to label our points. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -5, and then it went down 1, 2, 3, -3. And their other point is 5, -1. Plug these into the formula. So plug these in. You get -5 plus 5 over 2 and -3 minus 1 over 2. So your midpoint would be 0, comma, -4 over 2, which would be -2. And that's your midpoint. So do that for the other graph problems on here. Label the points, put them into the equation. Make sure to write this midpoint equation on at least one problem on this page. Let's look at the next part. Find the other endpoint of the line segment with the given endpoint and midpoint. Let's go ahead and do number 7. So we have an endpoint of -3 and -2, and the midpoint is -5, -9. So let's plug that into the formula. So in this case, it's looking for the other endpoint. So we're going to find x and we're going to find y. So -5 equals -3 plus x all over 2. Let's get rid of the fraction by multiplying each side by 2. So -10 equals -3 plus x. To get x isolated by itself, we're going to add 3 to each side to get rid of that 3. So -7 equals x. Let's do the same thing for the other one, for the y. So -9 equals -2 plus y divided by 2. Let's get rid of that fraction. Multiply each side by 2. So -18 equals -2 plus y. We want to isolate y, so let's add 2 to each side. So y equals -16. So our endpoint is -7, -16. That is our other endpoint. And you'll do that for each of these other 3. Plug it into the equation, solve for x, solve for y. That's your endpoint. Let's do one more. Find the midpoint of the line segment with the given endpoints. Let's do the one with the decimals. Label, plug it into the formula. So this would be 3 over 2. And then this one would be 4.8 over 2. We can reduce this fraction. And let's go ahead and put this one as a decimal answer since they're decimals to begin with. We have 1.5, comma, 2.4. And that's our midpoint. So try the rest of these on your own and then turn your paper into the basket.